am seeing spots before my eyes.
Why is it so? Why do I talk like this?
I'm wondering why. I think we've got a little short. That's what I said.
Sally the sales girl said.
Cash in on Blankety Blanks, 5:30 weekdays on Channel 9.
To call yourself a doctor, you have to be a doctor. To call yourself a lawyer, you have to be a lawyer. But to call yourself an accountant, you don't have to qualify as an accountant, which could be risky. For your own peace of mind, the Australian Society of Accountants urges you to use the people with the professional letters. They earn the letters by knowing their business and keep them by keeping up to date. CPA, Certified Practicing Accountant. That's not your average accountant.
Good evening. Another Australian has been identified as a victim of yesterday's Delta plane crash in Texas. Ian Laver was killed when the jet came down near the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. His son Richard was also on the plane and is now in a serious condition in Dallas Hospital. Formerly from Queensland, both were residents in Florida. Earlier today, it was confirmed that Brisbane businessman Kenneth O'Reilly was among the 132 people killed in the crash. A 50-year-old man is in a stable condition in Westmead Hospital following a bushwalking accident in the Blue Mountains. The man was in a party of 10 when he fell 6 metres down a cliff. He suffered a fractured leg, head and internal injuries. And Sydney's weather, sunny and a top of 20 degrees.
In Sydney, there can be only one leader in television news. National 9 News with Brian Henderson. Weeknights, 6 o'clock.
Tonight's 60 Minutes is proudly brought to you by Toyota.
Why don't you want to go, darling? Don't you want to go with Mum? Why, darling?
It's the kind of bitter custody battle our courts are faced with every day.
Here. What you doing to the kids? You see what you're doing to them?
In this case, grandparents wanting to take the children from the mother they claim is too irresponsible and promiscuous.
There's been that many men in her life, I couldn't count them, I couldn't remember. She's told me so many.
Because they make it look as though you're a tramp.
Yeah, I know that. I know.
You are wrecking these children.
You are wrecking
Families and the courts, a legal and emotional minefield.
Now, I'm not prepared to sit back and let them wreck them kids for the next 6 or 7 or 9 or 10 years just because some stupid bloody judge thinks I should. I'll overrule the judge myself.
But in practical terms, Harry, how could you stop it?
Blow his head off.
If you've ever wondered what twisted genius lurks behind the video barrage and glossy image of today's pop bands, this is he in all his glory. If you'd stayed with him, what would your image be like now?
Well, he'd have probably stripped me bare by now.
Got some neck.
With hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in new acts, record companies leave as little as possible to the fickle hand of fate and more to the hands of Tom Watkins.
Only think it's will thrust those hips, mate.
Bev Francis is an unprecedented woman. Every time she enters a contest like this, she challenges the judges, whose idea of the perfect woman seems closer to a Playboy centerfold.
They're looking for something that they really don't know how to define. They're saying we want a woman with muscles, but a woman who still looks like a woman. I mean, what appeals, or what you think is the best or most feminine or most beautiful or whatever, is such an individual thing.
It's awesome. She's stronger than Arnold Schwarzenegger. She can outlift, I would say, 99.99% of the men in the world.
I'm Jeff McMullen.
I'm Ian Leslie.
I'm George Negus.
And I'm Jana Vint. Those stories and more tonight on 60 Minutes.
Ben Lexon, designer, perfectionist, winner. And his Toyota Tarago.
Breakthrough design.
Magic Toyota Tarago. Beyond a car, beyond a van, beyond a wagon.
Beyond anything on wheels.
Get the feeling of Tarago's aerodynamics, cruise control, coil spring rear suspension, and design that pleases even Ben Lexon.
Somebody did it right. Again.
Tarago.
Hello. I like this Remington microscreen rechargeable shaver so much, I bought the company. It shaves as close as a blade, or I'll give you your money back. Remington has 2 microscreens. That's why it can shave as close as a blade. The first microscreen is so thin it shaves incredibly close. The second even closer. The Remington microscreen rechargeable shaver shaves as close as a blade, or your money back.
Buy Dad a shaver for Father's Day and get up to $15 cash back.
Do you know us?
All over the world, people think we're trivial.
Because we know the answers to all the trivial questions.
We invented Trivial Pursuit.
But nobody knows our names.
So we carry the American Express card.
With these, we know that wherever we go...
We'll never be treated as trivial.
Right on.
Okay, give me a question.
How many times does the word express appear on an American Express card?
18.
No, it's 19.
No, it's 18. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4...
Pick up a card application wherever you see this display, the American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
They got drive, they've got energy, they got knowledge and technology, solving problems they've foreseen. They're your mobile team, they're your mobile team. They know that science holds the key, finding answers creatively. Ideas that start as just a dream, quality that comes through supreme. They've got drive, you see, they're your mobile team. They've got drive, they've got energy, they've got what it takes, you see. They're your mobile team, they're your mobile team, they're your mobile team, they're your mobile team.
Australia's system of justice has come under growing pressure in a number of different ways. The Lionel Murphy controversy is only one instance. But on a day-to-day basis, there are constant complaints about the way the courts handle all sorts of matters. One of the biggest hotspots being custody disputes. Nothing generates more bitterness than these family tug-of-wars, usually between mothers and fathers, a la the film Kramer versus Kramer. But a custody battle now being fought out through a legal and emotional minefield has been brought to our notice that doesn't fit that norm. It's not a dispute between mum and dad, but between the natural mother and her own parents. The details are not pleasant, but they do provide a clear, if disturbing, insight into the kinds of decisions our courts are faced with.
You are wrecking these children.
You are wrecking them.
How are we wrecking the children?
By keeping them away from me.
We are not keeping
Yes,
them away
are.
from you.
Yes, you are.
We
Well,
never.
you didn't want to go
How many
then.
times did you run and slutting around Melbourne with all your drug addicts?
Whatever.
How many times do you promised to come home and look after children? How many times have God with you?
This rural New South Wales setting is about the only thing that's tranquil about the mess the Peasley family find themselves in. Beneath this apparent farmyard peace are years of heartache, conflict and even violence. All over the custody of these two kids,
Sarah.
Jodie 3 and Sarah 17 months.
You're a bit bold, Sarah. That's the go.
The two girls live here at Lazy Acres outside Bega with their grandparents, Harry and Ruth Peasley, who won't have a bar of their own daughter, Cheryl, having care and control of the children.
I do not believe that she is a fit mother. I do not believe she is fit. I am still frightened for the new baby that she's going to have.
Prove she's not fit.
To me, she would be... It's like placing little children with a child of 12. And I'm talking about an immature child of 12.
Poor Pussy, pet the pussy. Pussy's thirsty. He wants some more milk.
For most kids, visiting Grandma and Grandpa is an event. Jodie and Sarah are in the opposite position. As we've seen, they're already with their grandparents. Fed, clothed, bathed, looked after on a day-to-day basis here at the family farm.
Well, some days they call me Dad or grandfather or Pop. Sometimes Dad, sometimes they call the grandmother Mum. So I suppose it's confusing.
Under the court order governing the custody of these two kids, their mother gets access to them for 5 consecutive days each month. She can visit them at their grandparents' farm, which she's reluctant to do, or take them to Tumut, where she lives. Under these circumstances, it's fair to say that these two are probably pretty confused about where they live, let alone who their real parents are.
We never had a father image, only me.
But they're confused, aren't they?
They're confused.
Oh, they are very confused.
And the more it's lagging on in court, the bigger they're getting confused.
If Harry and Ruth Peasley are to be believed, since the age of 12, their daughter Cheryl, the children's natural mother, has been a violent, uncontrollable delinquent.
She kept the wall out there.
She drove the pick through the tank out there. The tank's still
continually in trouble with police. How many times did the police get involved with your family because of the conflict between you and Cheryl?
Well, from the age of Cheryl being 12, I'd say 100 times.
Mixed only in bad company.
She'd come and tell me, I'd go and sort half the blokes out, mostly the druggies and all the bums.
And was incredibly loose with men to the point of almost non-stop promiscuity.
There's been that many men in her life, I couldn't count them, I couldn't remember. She's told me so many.
I've always felt the rejected one, you know, like the guys that I have been involved with when I was young were old enough to be my father.
Cheryl, now 22, lives on another farm almost 300 kilometres away near Tumut with the latest man in her life, 25-year-old Owen Blundell. Cheryl, why do you think your mother is fighting you as hard as she is for those girls?
Well, she told me that she's never ever been happy with Dad. She feels that her own children have grown up and are getting on with their lives, and she can see them getting happy and moving away, and she's still stuck.
I have to press you for this sort of detail because your mother and father paint a picture of you as an extremely promiscuous young woman, someone who'd get off with just about any bloke that she saw.
No, that's not true. The way I looked at sex then, I just thought that love was sex. You know, like... Well,
sex was love.
It was, yeah, sex was love.
So you do admit that you've been with a lot of men when you were young?
I wouldn't say a lot. I would say probably a few when I was young. I mean, real young.
What's a few? So the reason I'm pushing you on that score is because they make it look as though you're a tramp.
Yeah, I know that. I know. Maybe 5 or 6. And then I found a nice guy, and that's when I had Jodie. And then when my parents found out I was pregnant, I had 2 alternatives, either to keep her, and then they disown me, or to abort her, and they'll still accept me into the family. And I just turned around and told them to go to hell, that there was no way that I was going to give up this child.
Cheryl and her mother and father have been fighting for the custody of Jodie and Sarah for most of the children's lives. Harry Peasley is an incapacitated former railway fettler.
One for Luke.
He is also an alcoholic with a history of domestic violence and psychiatric problems.
Not wrong leg.
Every time he was violent, he was drunk, yes.
He's off the booze now, though.
Yeah, he's off the booze now, but I know for a fact it won't be for long.
I become an alcoholic, and the more trouble I got, I was a coward. I run. I got drunk. And...
did that help?
If you stay drunk long enough, it helps.
Well, Cheryl, how many times would you say that he did bash you or punch you or act violently towards you?
A lot.
You couldn't have, is it dozens, hundreds, what?
I'd say probably hundreds of times that he's acted violence.
Some nights he'd come home, he might have had a bit of a blue in the pub and he'd be angry and hadn't had anything to eat, and he'd slam the fridge door and roar and bell around the place. And
so how did Cheryl react to that when Harry was in that frame of mind?
when he was drunk, violent, she'd usually get provoked. It'd bottle up inside her till she'd lash out at him, and that was all he'd need. Sometimes he'd go to give her a bit of a clip under the ear, but I could say 99% out of 10 it never ever connected. She'd just, you know, do enough to stir him, and then she'd stir herself up.
Harry Peasley has resorted to violence throughout his life. For Ruth Peasley, the first and last resort has always been religion. She's a devout Seventh-day Adventist and has tried to raise her 3 daughters and now her 2 granddaughters in the strict doctrines of that faith.
When she joined the faith, I think I was about 8. And it wasn't until getting older that the strictness began. You can't wear jeans, you can't eat meat. Because we ate meat right up to the age of 8-year-old.
What about when you started getting interested in boys? What happened then?
She couldn't handle that. Now, Sarah's dad, for instance, I met him and he knew I had a daughter. And to me, he was a really nice guy. And I went home and I said to Mum, I said, there's this really nice guy that I've met, and I'd like to bring him out to the house. And she'll just turn around, is he a 7-day Adventist? No, Mum. Well, I don't want him on the property.
I face the future with bleak and numb despair. I wish I had someone to really care.
They cannot handle seeing me happy. They can't handle me being with the guy just in case there's going to be marriage and there might be that little hope that I'll be happy. Because my mother has never, ever been happy.
I must battle on. The ache inside is sometimes hard to bear, but I don't mind.
Do you think that your mother is transferring her unhappiness to you?
Yes, I do.
By keeping the girls away from you?
Yes, very much so.
How far would you go?
Well, if the courts turned around and ruled out to me that, OK, I don't think your husband's fit enough to be around the children, but I think maybe you are, and if we offered you the children, what would you do? I would walk out on him. And
you'd leave
the
Harry
children,
for the kids?
my word, I would. And he knows that.
She's going to come down here. She's breaking up the home with the tension she's putting into it.
I would do that.
Jodie's mum just couldn't tell her why she had to go. The argument with her parents, they told her she had to leave home.
Cheryl is 6 months pregnant to Owen Blundell, a country and western singer and the composer of this relevant ballad about 3-year-old Jodie.
And Jodie cried, "Mommy, Mommy, please don't go. You know that I love you so."
Owen Blundell is now seriously involved in what really amounts to a nasty, drawn-out family war between Cheryl Peasley and her parents.
Mommy, take me, please. I'll be good, you'll see.
You've heard the sorts of stories that they tell about Cheryl. The
Yeah.
kind of picture that they paint of her as a person and as a young woman.
Yeah, yes.
Doesn't bother you?
No, just because she's not that woman. She's away from all the hostility, all the violence and all that, and she's a totally different person up here.
So the kind of background that, a lot of which she admits to, of that violence,
Yeah.
other men in her life, the fathers of Jodie and Sarah, that doesn't cause you to have any doubts?
Doesn't worry me at all. If she was like that now, I wouldn't be with her.
Cheryl Peasley recently married Owen Blundell without her parents' knowledge.
Will you love him, comfort him, honour and care for him, and be faithful to him as long as you both live?
Now she's carrying your child.
Yes.
You happy about that?
Too right I am. Too right.
Do you want to be the father of one of her children or three of her children?
Three of them. Three of them. Or four or five.
But the marriage makes no difference to Harry and Ruth Peasley. They insist they'll fight Cheryl's new husband having any contact with the children whatsoever. What would happen now that they're married, and if the courts were to rule that Owen could have access to the children? Would you abide by that rule?
No. No.
I couldn't.
Not now, not ever.
I couldn't.
Now, I'm not prepared to sit back and let them wreck them kids for the next 6 or 7 or 9 or 10 years just because some stupid bloody judge thinks I should. I'll overrule the judge myself.
But in practical terms, how could you possibly stop them?
Blow his head off.
Harry, I don't know you well enough to know whether you really mean that.
I mean, I'm dead serious. Dead serious, and me own. I'll stop him one way or another.
She's fishing in too, I tell you.
Isn't it possible, if you all recognise that you all contributed to the situation, it need not be the way it is now, brawling as you are, as a family, over those two kids?
Not necessary. I don't agree with that.
Well, has it come to the point where you can't possibly admit any wrong in this situation, otherwise you just remove the ground from under yourself?
No. Wait a minute, Brenda.
I would say the only wrong I ever did was rebelling against my own parents and marrying someone that was completely out of category with my upbringing. And I probably would say I'd be more to blame than anybody for disobeying my own parents when I was a child.
By marrying Harry?
Probably. I could have married a minister. In fact, I was asked.
60 Minutes was present when Cheryl Peasley arrived at Lazy Acres to collect her children for her 5-day access, as ruled by the court.
What you doing? Hey?
You haven't gone with the old old mummy? No. Why, darling? Why? You might have to go with mummy for a little older. Why not? Why don't you want to go, darling? Don't you want to go with mummy? Why, darling? Why? Why don't you want to go with mummy? Why? Why, darling? Don't you love mummy? Why don't you love mummy, darling? Why don't you love mummy?
We witnessed the anguish and animosity between her and her parents firsthand.
Come here. See what you're doing to the kids? You see what you're doing to them?
What are you doing to the kids?
We are not doing nothing to them. We are feeding them. We are giving them medical attention. We are doing everything in our power, and you are taking the money and the bread and the clothes off their back through these stupid courts.
Darling, don't get upset. It's all right. You'll be home in a little.
Regardless of whether it is Cheryl Peasley or her parents who win these access exchanges over custody, the children certainly gain very little from them.
And God knows who loves us the most.
If anything, they must add to their confusion. Do you think the girls know what's going on?
Jodie, yes, I do. She's torn between two people. She's torn between Owen and me. She's torn between Mum and Dad. Like, when she's with us, she cries. She doesn't want to go home, back to the farmhouse. When she's with them, she cries because she doesn't want to stay with me. And she is such a mixed-up little girl. It's so terribly wrong.
Jody cried, Mommy, Mommy, please don't go. You know that I love you so. Mommy, Mommy, please come back for me. Jody cried again, Mommy, Mommy, take me, please.
Do you think it's possible, even vaguely possible, that Cheryl may have changed, that now she just might make a proper mother for those two girls?
No.
If you gained custody of the girls,
Yes.
would you share them with your mother?
Now? No.
The awful battle between the Peasleys over Jody and Sarah could never be presented in a nice way, but it's the sort of bitter custody dispute that courts are called upon to settle daily. As we saw for ourselves, hardly an enviable task.
I would die to see my kids go through what I've gone through. I mean, if they haven't changed for 22 years, why would they want to change overnight for Jody and Sarah?
But you say you have changed.
Yes, I've changed. No, I want my kids for good. I mean, I'm going to fight till I can fight no more. And I've got a fantastic husband that's going to support and help me all the way.
You might care to know that that film was looked at very carefully a few days ago by a judge involved in the Peasley family dispute. In a formal judgment allowing it to be shown tonight, Mr. Justice Powell says in part, it is only proper that the public be made aware of the bitterness, distrust, and at times irresponsible actions which so often accompany these disputes, and the resulting kinds of problems that judges so often have to deal with. The public should also be made aware, he says, of how parties in such disputes almost always claim to be acting in the best interest of the child, when the tragic fact is it's the children who are most likely to be hurt by all the bitterness and tensions they're exposed to. Our film, as Mr. Justice Powell summed it up, makes those points brutally clear.
To create a stylish compact car.
Here it is, new Corolla Seeker, the shape of things to come. You have decided to believe it with Toyota's powerful and economical, super responsive engine, the incredible new Corolla Seeker.
I know a friendly place, the best around. Gotta go. The kind of homely place you're glad you found. Get away. There's a welcome everywhere along the way. Well, I know Homestead's the place to stay when you get away.
Homestead Motor Inns have more locations across Australia, more comforts, more services to make you feel like coming back. And Homestead's just a phone call away.
Homestead's the place to stay when you get away.
Get away.
This bank holiday, save at Grace Brothers tomorrow with exceptional menswear value. Exclusive Pierre Cardin suits only $225. Today's classics in pure new wool with pinstripes and plains in subtle hues of blues and greys to choose from. At this price, it's like having money in the bank. Sophisticated pure new wool Eagle suits only $195. Choose from a wide range of blues and greys. Exceptional menswear value. Coordinate the professional look with Van Heusen business shirts, only $20. There's an extensive range of stripes, self-stripes and plains. At this price, it's like having money in the bank. Add to the executive style with a Vogue tie, only $6. Choose from assorted stripes or patterns. Now complete the look with Florsheim shoes at just $50. There's an extensive range of all-leather lace-up and slip-on style shoes. So take advantage of these exceptional bank holiday savings. Come into Grace Brothers tomorrow. At these prices, it's like having money in the bank.
They've shot this 3 times, and every time I've had to rewash Lisa's hair. Frequent washing can irritate, and damage your hair. So when I mentioned this to Sunsilk, they went to work and produced new Sunsilk Everyday Shampoo. It's just made for frequent washing. The gentle, silky formula in Sunsilk Everyday leaves your hair soft and shiny. Hair that's fresh every day, and that's a promise from me and Sunsilk. For simply beautiful hair, every day.
Hill Street Blues, the classics.
Look, Miss Davenport, the way it lays out is this.
Find my client, Perillo.
Thursday, come back to where it all began.
No biting!
You promised me, Captain.
All those unforgettable episodes.
Oh, this place stinks.
Hello, Faye.
Those unforgettable characters.
Now let's be damn careful out there.
Winner of the most Emmy Awards in television history.
You're a real cute guy, LaRue.
Hill Street Blues. Don't miss a classic series. Starts Thursday, 8:30 on 9.
Almost by definition, it's the most popular of the pop stars who help set the style, the fashion trends and so on in each generation. Elvis Presley, Bob Dylan, the Beatles, on through the years to people like Bruce Springsteen. They all have their special impact on the image that young people seek to adopt for themselves. But the man featured in this story could be called the image maker for the image makers. His name is Tom Watkins, and you'd be surprised at some of the bands he's worked with.
Wake me up before you go, to leave me hanging on like a yo-yo. Wake me up.
If you've ever wondered what twisted genius lurks behind the video barrage and glossy image of today's pop bands, this is he in all his glory. It's been said that Tom Watkins puts the roll into rock and roll.
Brighter, maybe, if needs
Black's
be.
not exactly brighter, is it?
No.
I don't want them to look like, you know, a bunch of, like, carnival novelties. I don't want them to look like clowns. I don't want...
At £300, and with a string of pop music successes under his belt, he's definitely the current Mr. Big of the record industry. He'll do just about anything to flog his bands.
Anything, absolutely anything. We had Mother Christmas dressed up, who did a strip tease and gave all these things away to the sales force at Christmas time because the release was just after the New Year. So anything that's crazy.
So far, just about anyone who's anywhere on the charts has been styled by Watkins. Spandau Ballet, Duran Duran, he even helped Frankie go to Hollywood.
We haven't had a failure as such. You know, I mean, a top 20 entry is about the lowest we're looking for. If it goes any lower than that, then we're going to seriously start questioning our judgments. But so far, so good.
A new group in Tom's production line, they're called Spelt Like This. And the rumour going round is that they'll be very big.
Got some neck.
With hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in new acts, record companies leave as little as possible to the fickle hand of fate and more to the hands of Tom Watkins.
Only think it's worth thrust those hips, mates. Elvis Presley would need loads of that.
He does love to dress up.
Right.
Great.
Yep, I like that a lot. That's really good. Oh, that's fantastic.
No, the suit, I think, you know, if we get this made up in black with a different colour on it, I think it'll look
I like the
great.
trousers being as short as that.
The commodity that Watkins has for sale is, believe it or not, style. And the record companies are queuing up to pay for it.
Okay, but I mean, I just, you know, I adore the shirt.
And you really are pleased with them? You like them?
Yeah, it's there.
Because remember, you've got to be very confident about
Oh, absolutely. For comfort, I mean, you know, I can move in that, no problem.
No good.
Tom works on his superstars to be from the music down, or depending on the way you see it, from the music up.
I'd just like you to lift it and just have a listen, right? Because I feel that we're wasting our time. You know, and whatever this costs an hour, I'm getting tragically alarmed.
It's easier to try it than it is to talk about it, so let's try it.
Yeah, okay. The makeup's not going to be soft.
Tom throws the full weight of his image machine behind his maybe megastars. He creates the faces that may launch 1,000 hits.
No, we use block mascara, which is better for boys. It's very light, it's not cakey. And
It's good to avoid all this glamour bit and to look healthy and just...
You know, the colour of your socks, the shoes, everything. I mean, we just can't afford anything to be naff or Wally. I mean, and you've got to just trust Nikki that she will tell you exactly what to wear, and we don't want you forgetting the clothes. We don't want you not turning up in something else or adding your own bit of accessory to it, because it will look Wally. I mean, this has been worked out down to a sort of this kind of degree of detail, and we actually want to follow it through.
You know, some people out there would be shocked at all this, the people who think that stars are born and not created. Can you understand that?
Everyone's born, but I mean, whether I think that they are. I think they're more helped.
I've had enough of scheming and messing around with jerks. My car is parked outside, I'm afraid it doesn't work.
Another act about to bolt starward from the Watkins stable.
Ask yourself this question.
The Pet Shop Boys are definitely playing Tom's song.
I've got the brains, you've got the looks. Let's make lots of money. You've got the brawn, I've got the brain. Let's make lots of money.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult just doing it with just your face.
I know, it's staggering the amount of people that are actually involved here.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I'm pleased I can't see any of them, so
just for this one clip, you down the hole. There must be a million jokes we could make about you being down the hole. We're going to make none of them at all.
Probably best not to make them.
Anyway, I'm going to have to go because they're ready to shoot again.
You may wonder what standing halfway down a manhole has to do with music. But then stick around Tom Watkins long enough and you begin to realise that the music is just a necessary evil.
Let's make lots of money.
Is it your job to make your bands fit the market or the market fit your
No, make
band?
the bands fit the market because basically it's age groups and sort of social groups and sort of like fashion groups and sort of... They're well defined. You know, actually, when a band arrives on your doorstep, if you like them, very much in kind of the area to aim them at.
It's like programming something and going, press go, you know, and then everything starts going off, the fireworks go off.
And for spelt like this, it is spelt out like this.
I don't want you to do anything you don't want to do, okay? But there are some essential things that I think we should start to understand and work on. I mean, for instance, I don't want any misbehaving with any consumables. I don't want drink. I mean, smoking is a big problem, and I'm talking about tobacco now.
How about conduct at parties?
Well, I don't care, as long as there's no one there. I don't care what you get up to, I mean, that's fine. But I mean, I'm just very serious about the way that we look.
Do you make a lot of money doing what you're doing?
We have a very comfortable existence, yes.
It's more than comfortable, obviously.
I laugh and evade. Well, we got Mickey Mouse here.
But away from the 45 RPM existence that's made him a millionaire, Tom leads a quiet life, alone with his hobby. Not quite stamp collecting. Tom's current diet stops him consuming the real thing, but not collecting. In this castle, Coke is most definitely it.
The light fittings and the silly curtains. The whole thing is generally very camp, you know what I mean? And here is the little boys' room.
The little boys' room, and what do we find in the little boys' room?
Another shrine to Coca-Cola. Surprise, surprise.
I've had enough of scheming and messing around with jerks. My car is parked outside, I'm afraid it doesn't work.
The big man of pop has a cruel obsession with small cars. His last one simply gave way under the weight. So far, so good for this year's model, but while the car's future may be limited, behind the wheel, it's a different story.
There's a lot of opportunities if you know when to take them, you know.
There are going to be bands that need to be street credible, as there's going to be bands that need to be wearing leather jackets and have hair down to their, to their bums. I mean, there's always, a certain kind of band needed for a certain group of people.
And there are those who've loved Tom Watkins and left him. Kim Wilde used to be the jean-clad girl next door until she met Tom.
We got very excited about a Barbarella type image and a really sort of like strong sort of female personality that was both extremely attractive, and depicted the, the ultimate kind of woman. I mean, because again, she has a very strong voice, she has very pretty looks, and we did that kind of image for her. We just sort of if you like, tied it all up in a big knot and gave her exactly what she wanted.
If you'd stayed with him, what would your image be like now?
Well, he'd have probably stripped me bare by now, and I'd have my sort of navel showing, and he'd probably have some sort of thigh-clad sort of warrior woman sort of going down the street. I don't know. It's not even worth thinking about.
I think what happens is you take somebody on, you do what they want us to do, and then they like to think that they did it on their own. Well, that's the name of the game. You know, we should be really hidden.
I don't think it did any damage anyway. I mean, I think for a while it was sort of almost quite tasteful, and then kind of lost it a bit. But I'm glad that I got out when I did.
People walk in the door,
yeah,
and they come out at the end of the process, and they're Watkins eyes.
There's nothing, but there's nothing, quite possibly, hopefully, yes, please. I mean, there is nothing magical about what we do, okay?
But Tom may have to pull something out of his hat for his next musical project. Watkins does Watkins.
We've had the audacity to write ourselves a song, which we've played to various dignitaries in the music business that happen to think it's going to be a hit record. I'll tell you, they're totally deaf and misguided.
Well, knowing that it's going to be a big hit, can you give us a sample?
No, I do nothing unless I'm being paid, OK? Don't put me on the spot. No is the answer to that. Next question.
Well, here it is, tentatively titled One Man's Meat is Another Man's Poison. Just remember, you heard it first on 60 Minutes.
Boys shouldn't dance together. Men don't wear cologne. Some look good in leather. Gentlemen shave alone. One man's meat is another man's poison. One man's meat is another man's poison.
Is it, for you, a respectable way to earn a living?
Respectable? Good God, nothing about me is respectable. I'll answer that. Yes, there you go. In a nutshell.
She was the most desirable and famous woman in the world, the wife of the President of the United States. Born to position, he was born a peasant, but became one of the world's richest men. His power, his money, his women all made international headlines. When these two came together, the whole world stopped to watch. Anthony Quinn, Jacqueline Bisset, capturing the power and intrigue of the Greek tycoon, Wednesday night at 8:30 on Channel 9.
Competition starts early in America, and it doesn't let up. What it means is you've got to do it better than the next guy. 9 cents. Sounds good. Thanks, kids.
You're welcome, sir. Maybe we should try bigger glasses. Yeah.
Competition. It's what makes America and Continental work harder.
I can do you a root beer for 9 cents.
We took all the best things about America, and we turned them into an airline. Continental.
Get out of the computer maze. Go direct to Canon for complete computer systems. Canon with state-of-the-art compatible hardware, with a vast library of software, and designed for Australian business. Canon with a worldwide reputation built on a responsibility which never ends. Get out of the computer maze. Go direct to Canon for the touch of perfection.
Who wants the world's most popular card? We do.
We do. We bien sûr.
Who wants a Visa card that pays you interest?
We do.
We do. We do too. So St. George took the world's most popular card and added the benefits of the Freedom card. So it pays you.
We do, up to 11.5%.
The St. George Freedom Visa card pays your bills, gets you cash, even pays you interest while you're shopping.
St. Giorgio.
Wherever you are.
Imagination, live on.
At Philips, we imagine perfect sound that would last forever, and we created the Philips compact disc. At Philips, we imagine stereo video, and we created a recorder to play through your own stereo speakers. At Philips, we imagine stereo television, and we created Philips Natural Color TV with natural stereo sound.
Imagination leads us on to new discoveries. Philips really wants you to have the very best there is.
It's the latest extension of the fitness boom. Women bodybuilders toning up with weights and bench presses, changing the traditional idea of softness and curves into lean, hard muscle. But how far do you go? Australia's Bev Francis has turned herself into 82 kilograms of pure power and become the strongest woman in the world. She's used to being called a freak, but now it seems even some of her sister bodybuilders, and certainly the competition judges, think Bev has overstepped the boundaries in tampering with the female physique. Bev Francis is an unprecedented woman. Every time she enters a contest like this, she challenges the judges, whose idea of the perfect woman seems closer to a Playboy centerfold.
They're looking for something that they really don't know how to define. They're saying we want a woman with muscles, but a woman who still looks like a woman. Well, what appeals to people as a woman is a very individual thing. I mean, some people like big breasts, other people like small, some people like wide hips, some people like narrow hips, some people like blondes, some people like brunettes. I mean, what appeals or what you think is the best or most feminine or most beautiful or whatever is such an individual thing.
It's the glamorous types, the racial McLeishes, who are making the money out of bodybuilding and getting the TV ads.
So give yourself the greatest day. Come on and put the fun back on your face.
Bev says with a smile, that figures, good luck to them. She hasn't made much money on the American circuit, but she's found a new husband, bodybuilder Steve Weinberger, who thinks Bev is totally feminine.
She's a woman, a pure woman. In fact, most people who meet Bev before they know her think, you know, she's some kind of gorilla, a monster, some horrible woman, you know, tries to act like a man. They spend a half hour or 10 minutes with her and their mind changes. You know, before Bev was still back in Australia and she was going to come to America, you know, I had pictures, you know, and they'd say, well, let me see a picture of her, this girl, you know, you're going to marry. I show them a picture. And they would give me a look. What, this is the girl? And in the beginning, I would get pissed off. I would say, you know, to you know, look what you're with. You see her for the first time, it's a culture shock. And when you meet her, it's a whole different story.
It's awesome. She's stronger than Arnold Schwarzenegger. She can outlift, I would say, 99.99% of the men in the world.
George Butler made the film Pumping Iron 2, The Women.
I found a woman in Australia who is arguably one of the finest athletes of the 20th century and one that I think people will remember for a long time to come.
Bev delights in being a superwoman, but she recognises that some men can't handle her strength.
I saw this plenty of times, that people would come in the gym and I'd have a weight on a bench press, for example, that I was working with. And a guy would come in and he might even weigh less than me, but he would assume that he could lift it because he was male. And this is a terrible thing that we've sort of driven into everybody as they grow up, that you're a boy, so you're strong. You're a girl, so you're allowed to be weak.
Double biceps, please.
This is what shocked the judges at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Bev Francis, Superwoman, versus the sleek traditions embodied by women like Rachel McLeish. It's confrontation. Rachel McLeish is what it's been all about until now. Provocative more than powerful, a fashionable body beautiful. Bev thinks it's just posing.
Oh, there you go, baby.
And then I always it seems crazy to me to come into a gym with a high slit leotard and a low cut leotard and trying to look as sexy as you can with make sure your hair is made up perfectly, make sure your makeup is on perfectly. I mean, what are you putting your makeup on for when you're going to do a workout and you're going to sweat?
I'll wait for you. You want me to wait for your third set?
But more and more women are pumping iron because they want to be strong.
I don't know, it's like being creative with your own body, you know, it's sort of fascinating, and you go, wow, this is great, I never had this before.
And she's got one right here.
Oh, yeah, this is a great one.
Right there, that I don't even have. We've been trying to find it. But I guess normally it takes a long time for that, and she just happens to be lucky. And
How big and strong do you want to pump up to?
well, I just want to look wonderful like most girls. I don't think I want to get quite as big as Bev. I think she's incredible.
I can't really tell. My perception of myself is changing, and my goals are changing as I'm doing it. I don't think at this point that I want to be a competitive bodybuilder, but I'm really interested in having my body look as good as it possibly can.
Has Bev Francis challenged you on what you thought your limit was?
Yeah, really. And that was the thing I found fascinating about the film, which was what's feminine, what's not feminine, how far can women go, how far should women go, all that kind of stuff. I just thought, you know, this is something that's a revolution. This is something that's people are changing their perspectives about, and I see it happening every day in the gym. What is beautiful and what's not beautiful is sort of in a state of flux now. It's changing, and I think she
I saw the movie twice. The first time I saw it, I was shocked at Bev's body. I just could not believe that was a woman's body. The second time I saw it, I wasn't as shocked at all. In fact, I was really appreciative of it. It looked right. It looked, and of course, I had also started working out more.
For you, are muscles feminine?
Oh, absolutely. Definition is feminine.
Do people ever think you're a man?
Oh, occasionally, yes. Particularly in Australia. People are not used in Australia to seeing very muscular bodies. The bronzed Aussie is, I mean, it exists, but he isn't as big as a bodybuilder. And, I mean, as soon as people see broad shoulders, especially with short hair, particularly from the back, they just assume male, because it just fits into a stereotype. So, yeah, I've been mistaken for a man quite often, especially in Australia. I certainly never had any I'm going to beat the men up attitude at all. And it doesn't worry me who I'm stronger than. It's what I do compared to what I've done in the past and how I feel about myself that's really important to me.
What Bev has done in the past is represent Australia twice at the Commonwealth Games, and along the way she's notched 40 world records. She's won the last 6 powerlifting championships. The feminists love Bev because she's no centerfold. But although she's a superwoman, Bev does not see herself as the new champion of the women's movement.
Bev Francis!
I've always tried to not label myself as a feminist. And even though feminist groups have always identified with me, I try not to identify with them. I imagined a feminist as the woman leaning on the bar with the boys and throwing back the beer and spitting out the side of her mouth, sort of taking the worst aspects of masculinity, if you like to call it that, and putting it on themselves and losing the good aspects of themselves as females. It is frustrating if you're trying to achieve greatness trying to go beyond what anyone has done before, just trying to get the most you can out of your body, that people are going to say, oh, okay, you're a good runner, but not very feminine. I mean, who cares if in their eyes you're not very feminine? Femininity is such an individual taste anyway.
The incredible new Toyota Corolla, the first car in its class in space, with more interior room than any of its competitors. And new Corolla has pace, with Toyota's powerful and economical, super responsive engines. The incredible new Toyota Corolla. You have to drive it to believe it.
What's new? This week's new idea. What's Mel Gibson really like at home? In an exclusive interview, his family reveals the other side of the shy superstar. We ask, is there a soft side to tough TV reporter Jan Event? This young Australian tourist was brutally murdered in France. Her family tell the shocking story. There's New Idea's 5-page diet special. Exclusive colour pics of Mrs. Rupert Murdoch at home in New York. And our Chinese astrology special. What's new? This week's new idea.
Casio introduces a great new range of watches. A super tough watch, strong against shock and water resistant to 200 meters. Casio G-Shock. Now this really clever watch stores 50 telephone numbers. Automatically, alphabetically. Casio Telemimo 50. And Casio Janus. Twice the time with an elegant face. Now at leading jewelers and department stores.
When you want to give your guests the very best, when you want them to enjoy a fine, fresh brew flavor, we have the only coffee for you. Nescafe Gold Blend. When you have the occasion, we have the coffee. Nescafe Gold Blend. Fine, fresh brew flavor. Monday, Remington Steelers pounding the pavements of the stars.
I expected somebody more like Tom Selleck.
Mixing with Hollywood greats like Dorothy Lamour, Lloyd Nolan, and Virginia Mayer.
This is the best case we've ever worked on.
They're being run down.
Reflexes like a cat.
Dive bomb.
3 days of the Condor.
Machine gun.
The postman always rings twice.
Monday, 7:30.
Dirty Harry, you ain't.
Nobody matches Remington Steel on 9.
That interview last week with Bhagwan, leader of the Orange Cult, brought us some rave reviews from his Australian followers. Thank you for a beautiful glimpse of our beloved, beautiful Bhagwan. Or this, the first responsible piece of reporting I have seen concerning Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh and his disciples. I hope we can look forward to more objectivity and less paranoia. But many more comments like this. I was delighted that Bhagwan broke his silence on national television. Now he has revealed himself for what he really is. Nothing more than a shrewd businessman.
If I give you a name, perhaps you could give me one of your words of wisdom for each of these people. Pope Paul.
He should be behind the bars.
Mother Teresa.
It is time for her to jump into a lake.
As another saw it, I've not been so vastly entertained since I last read Mein Kampf. There was also our story from Puerto Rico regarding the damage done by hormones used by local chicken farmers. We've been urged to stress that no similar risk exists in Australia. We assure your viewers that there are no hormones whatsoever fed or otherwise administered to poultry in Australia. The administration of estrogen to chickens was banned in Australia in the early 1960s. I'm George Negus. We'll be back next week with another edition of 60 Minutes.
She returned from the dead, bringing with her awesome